It's goat time. Apparently, it is goat time. I'm supposed to be goating. Go. Here I go. Have to do my fade. So it's not too abrupt. Oh, where's the quickest? There it is. There we go. All right. The two main characters are here. Welcome in. Hello, Marco and the ghost. Going to be an hour late. Just start going home from school. No problem. No problem. You'll just miss. I'm only starting now because I'm doing the lessons. Do I have noise here? Do I have my sounds? I think I do. Boy, I can barely hear it. The sim is very quiet without anything else. So we are here in the middle of the tropics in Indonesia, somewhere in Indonesia. And I'm again in the Cabri. I'm in the Cabri, and I'm going to go over a couple of things, and then we're going to fly a bit. So for anyone watching this, for the beginner helicopter portion, last week we did control setups. We did... What else? What else did we do? We did... let me look at my list. What did I go over last week? I know I did some things. Oh, the helicopter handbook, controls and assists, so ways you can assist yourself in the sim. We did a bit of hovering and taxiing and going around, and all that took more than 30 minutes. So we're going to spend about another 30 minutes today going over this and that, and then I will put that, and then that'll be there on a video on demand, as always, so you can watch later. I highlighted last week's to make it shorter. It still might be long because I'm answering chat a lot. I may not be answering chat as much for the first, say, 30 minutes as I try and go over a couple of things. Again, I wanted to point out the helicopter flying handbook. I'll just throw this in here. I might throw this in here a few times. So this is the actual FAA handbook for helicopter flying. And it's very, if you want to learn to fly helicopters, or even if you've flown them in the sim for a while and you've never really understood how these things work, how in the world do these things work? Let's see, I skipped ahead to 14. Let me go all the way back to 1 again. And I'll just throw that up for a moment. If my, there we go. If everything will cooperate. Yes, it is. I just love this first bit. Aerodynamics of flight. That's not what oh yeah, aerodynamics of flight, chapter 2. Well, what's chapter 1? Oh, I must have jumped into something. I did this wrong. I must have gone to a bookmark while I was in the middle of the book. I don't know how I got on chapter 2. I skipped ahead, but I was on page 14 of this chapter. This chapter is about the aerodynamic fundamental principles as they apply to helicopters. The content relates to flight operations and performance of normal flight tasks. Covers theory and application of aerodynamics for the pilot, whether in flight training or general flight operations. So, do you need to know this stuff to fly in a sim? Not really. Will it help you to figure out which helicopters you like, fly better or more realistic? Perhaps. It might. Also, I know a lot of people are just into learning. And if you're into learning, this is great because this is the real thing. I'm skipping ahead a little bit to the hovering flight, because we're going to kind of start with the hover, even though it's not the best place to start. In training, you would actually start with flying, cruise flight, and turning, keeping level, straight and level, etc. So we're going kind of backwards. We're going to go to the hover. We're going to fly it around. We're going to do some hovering different places, and we're going to do sideways flight and backwards flight. Backwards flight in the sim or in any helicopter, it's pretty hard because you cannot see a thing. So it's pretty difficult. So the whole idea of all of this kind of stuff is to get a good grip of your controls So understand where different power settings get you. And I did something to make it even harder today. Oh, I already, I hope I didn't wear my battery out. I may have. I was sitting here for a while with the power on. So the idea here is to realize what your controls do. Oh, I need to turn something on. I want my new head tracking on. I'm using my iPhone now. I don't know if I'll ever go back to Track IR as long as this is working. This is OpenTrack software. You can use your phone, you can use your camera, however you want to do it, but it's quite nice. So looking down here, you want to get an idea of what each control does. One thing I didn't talk about, boy, I jumped right into this. I hope everyone that wants to learn this stuff is here now. Outside, powered down is a 500E. So that's the next step from the Cabri. If you were gonna, that's one of the helicopters you might transition to in your turbo transition. I would love to open a door or window and look at it, but we can't do that in this. Oh, look, someone brought a UH-1. Oh, Dipe. That's nice. It looks great from here. Now we wonder, with the last few posts about the UH-1, wonder if it's coming at all. Wonder what's going to happen. It's very nerve-wracking. Okay, so controls. When you're doing this in the sim, you're not only making sure, doing it as an exercise, but making sure your controls work the way you want them to work and that they're not getting a big lag. And I did something today which is really silly. I reversed my throttle control for helicopter flight, which someone suggested on YouTube. And there's a reason that I've never done that, because I get my brain confused. But I thought if we're doing beginner helicopter lessons, I would try and make it more challenging for myself and reverse the way the throttle goes, which does make it more like the Collective. As you can see, the Collective starts down on the floor and you pull it up, so towards you. So now I'm doing that with my throttle. This throttle, I have two throttles on this setup, so I'm just using the one because it's a little looser that way and a little easier to use for the helicopters. Okay, so what I forgot last week is every time you move a control in a helicopter, you have to realize you're going to have to move the other two. So if you move the pedals, you're going to have to make slight adjustments with your cyclic and collective. And if you move the collective, you're going to have to make adjustments with your pedals and cyclic, and so on. Because every movement of the surface of the controls changes the weather. No, it doesn't change the weather. It changes the way the air is going over your rotors and tail rotor. And so it's going to change your aerodynamics a little bit. And so you have to compensate with the other two. You have to keep it going. You have to realize what's going on. So now I'm getting a little faster at starting this. It doesn't take long, and I do like the startup. So you hit the battery. There it is. And with this, I can just look up, and you put the mixture all the way in, and you've got two switches here. Magneto switch and the P switch, which I still need to look up to realize what that is. Let your instruments come up. There we go. All your instruments are there. This is a weird one because the digital instruments are what are going to tell you what's going on for the start. So they're very important. Strobe light on for safety. Make sure the clutch is off. Your governor is going to be off because you haven't started yet. So clutch is off, governor is off, strobe light is on. Fuel pump, this isn't necessarily by the book, but if you get the book, you can start this helicopter very realistically by the actual manual. So that should be enough to get fuel ready. This is a gas helicopter, is not a turbine. Let's see if this works. Okay, I believe we have a start. And I know you bring it up to 1,000 RPM right here to kind of warm it up. There we go. That's over 1,000. Right in there. Then you put the clutch in right away. I still don't hear my... Okay, I think I'm having a sound issue. Let me check something. I'm not hearing the sim very well. Sim sounds. There. That's better. Yeah, I did this earlier, but now I can almost hear him. This is a very quiet, kind of a quiet helicopter. I guess I need to turn me up, my headsets. So we bring it back to about 1,000. Oh, wait, no. We've got it at 1,000 and we hit the clutch. Blades are turning. That squeakiness was the belt, because this engine is a belt drive. This helicopter, it has a belt back here. I guess you can't quite see it, but the rotors are actually driven with a belt. So that's a very important part in this one. Gotta keep your belt up to date. Bring it back up to about 1,000. As it's warming up, we'll turn everything else on. Alternator on, nav light on, landing light on. Close the safety hatch. And we're just about ready to hover. Let me bring this all the way up. So I'm bringing it up slowly as if it mattered. In the sim, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter in the sim. And it's rolling on. If you get a real collective, or make one, you would roll this on right here. There's your throttle. We will talk about what works and what doesn't work a little more next week. In this helicopter, almost everything works. Almost everything works. It's really brilliant. It's very close to what you need. Great for training. And I guess you could say that about most of the helicopters. Ah, there's the Huey. Almost everything works. So this is going to be tricky because they've got someone right in my way for hover. So now I want to keep that in the green, so I got to bring my throttle back. And you could fly it this way without turning the governor on. Come on, come back in the green. There you go. And then I hit my governor. And now it'll stay in the green no matter what we do. So I'm going to start with a little hover. And again, you want to keep your initial hover practice. I think the best explanation for hover I ever heard was you hover and hover taxi is you don't want to be any higher in those maneuvers than your back can handle. So you only want to go as high as your back is going to allow for. So if you're up 20 feet off the ground and something goes wrong and you are suddenly dropped, it might hurt. You don't want to be that high. If you're 5 feet off the ground and you suddenly drop, you're probably going to be fine because the skids are pretty solid. They're pretty springy on all helicopters. So what we do is we focus ahead and try and remember. This is the big challenge for me. Try and remember that I reversed my throttle. So it's backwards from what I'm used to. Also going to turn on the flight recorder. I have flight recorder, and that way we can kind of watch. I also think this is a great tool. Either the flight recorder or the replay. I'm not wild about the replay in the sim yet. It's kind of not there. But the flight recorder works. It's that's at flightsim.to still. And we'll see how we do. I start putting, on this helicopter, start putting right pedal in. Also got to remember which torque pedal to use. All this is explained a little more in the first video, part 1. As soon as it starts to come up, see how it starts to pull to the left? So you want that right pedal in. And then once we get off the ground on this one, you got to lean towards the pilot a little. Just lean towards the pilot. Now, I'm watching ahead of me just to keep a nice hover. Let's go up to about the top of that blue mark on the scissor jack over there. Or that's not a scissor jack. I think that's a ramp to get into a helicopter. So we'll just slowly, see how slow I'm going? You just keep it nice and slow. The hard part is going back down that slow. Whoops. So I'm trying to hold different heights first. That is a big one. I must have practiced this for, well, I still practice it, but it took me months to get this. You can see I'm just moving things a little teeny bit. Kind of see my controls. I forgot to put the control visualizer on. I don't know if that helps people or not. So now slowly let it back down. Now you just ease your collective down and it'll come down on its own. And it's going to get into the air. It's going to get a little buffer as it gets closer to the ground. And you got to ease the collective down a little more. And don't pull up because you are confused because you have your damn collective reversed. There we go. And once you're on the ground, you're still flying. See how it's still flying? Because my collective's not down. So you're still flying really until the thing is off. So there we go. How's that? Oops. Is anyone here? Hello. Check, check, 1, 2. Is the mic on? Where is my... I'm going to watch the recording now. So we'll go through, we'll speed it up a little. And we will read you 5x5. Excellent. Just making sure. We're going to hit the replay and we'll watch it from out here. So this is where you get to kind of watch your own work and see how your hover is. It's morning here. Maybe the other side would be better. There we go. So that is not a bad hover. The other kind of key thing about a hover is that you want to be... You're never going to be solid stopped right over, like on a dot. That never really is going to happen. So the idea is to limit your movement as much as possible. So you limit your drift. That's what you're trying to do. Just limit the drift. Now we're getting a little higher. It kind of gets a little easier once you get over about 6-7 feet. It gets a little bit easier to hover because you're not in ground effect anymore. As you can see, I'm still drifting around a bit, and I've been doing this simulated version of this for a long, long time. About, I'll just say 20 years. I know that's hard to believe because I'm only 25, but about 20 years. You're welcome to join us and give this a try on as well. We're at the first stop on our flight plan. Papa Tango Papa November. And now I drifted up just a little bit, but that's not bad. I think I have to fly more to get an actual landing rate. Oh, that's me demonstrating how if your collective is up, it's still going to move around. Great little airport too. I'm going to look at this in just a moment. So now there's a hover. Now let's try a pedal turn. This I still struggle with. I better take a video so people can see me struggling. Stop my replay, record a new video. And we'll do a pedal turn. Now, pedal turns, you want to start out slow. It's tempting to do them fast because it's easier. It seems easier, but you tend to run into buildings. So same thing, you get yourself into a hover. And then if you are holding right pedal, the easiest pedal turn, you want to practice these both ways, but the easiest pedal turn is going to be to release right pedal and slowly turn. As you can, and you really have to compensate with your cyclic as you do a pedal turn. About halfway around, see if you can stop. So you get it in, you can kind of get it steady again, stop. There it is. Go the rest of the way around. And these are actually very important for clearing an area. If you aren't familiar with your surroundings, maybe you're on a sandbar or something, you just landed there. You need to make sure that you're not going to hit a tree on takeoff, or maybe you're doing a rescue. Important maneuver, and then set it back down in the, whoops, oh, I'm still backwards. Okay, boom. Okay, that's going to be rough. That's going to be a little rough. Now let's check that out. Replay, here we go. The instruments on the replay don't work well. So if you on any replay that I've found, so just kind of ignore those. That's why I go outside to watch the replay, because the instruments just don't work well at all. We do have some people trying it out in the background. Excellent. It's a lot harder if you take it slow. You know, we are doing this quickly a lot of times and forget to be precise. We're going to do stuff quickly and crazy next week. This week we're doing hover, pedal turns, sideways flying, backways flying. Next week we'll do stunts. It'll just be concentrating on stunts. So that is not terrible. See, I am drifting too much. If I was trying to get a rating, I would have to drift a lot less. And I'm not using a helipad either, which makes it easier. Using those little dots over there would probably be better. The main thing to realize is you're just trying to control the drift, not drift too much, not go crazy. Remember what button you need to push. There it is. One moment. Wow, I've been doing this 20 minutes already. So we're going to use, because this airport is so cool, we're going to use the runway for the sideways flight. Sideways flight is difficult to stay slow and to keep your altitude. So we're going to try both. We're going to do slow sideways. We're going to hover taxi first. Hover taxis, obviously, you need for everything. A lot of airports, not a lot. Some airports want you to taxi to the runway. Most of the time, you won't do it. A bit harder with fluffy kittens. It is indeed. I'm starting with no weather as it is a, beginner helicopter session. So it is definitely harder when you turn the weather on. That's kind of step 2 with all the training. Turn on the weather and see how that goes. It would have been really hard on Sunday to do all this with the weather we had Sunday when we couldn't even see. That would have made it just nuts. Just nuts. Okay, so I'm gonna hover taxi. We've done our hover, we've done our pedal turn. Let's do a little hover taxi. And I'm really just doing these sessions because people have asked for it. And I hate to not have a good place to send them. I haven't found a great place that covers all this yet in this sim. Not overall. I mean, the best place to go for flight training videos is real world videos. And the real world videos of the Cabri are great. There's a lot of them that cover everything. So here's a hover taxi. That's about perfect, actually. That's just about right. I'm holding a good amount of right pedal today because of what we're in. And I'm just keeping it slow, not scaring any controllers, not running over any pigeons. I start to get a little too high. I see some pilots hover taxi at like 5 feet or less. It always amazes me. Iowa Scotsman, hello. Welcome in. Doing a little beginner helicopter stuff today to start. Then we'll be doing the regular stream, the regular flight with Joel. Yeah, flights with Joel. That's it. That's me. All right, I'm just going to the runway to use as a guide. And again, see how quickly it starts to want to fly? So I need, as I get any kind of speed up, I need a little bit less collective. Also trying to remember all the names of these controls. That's a cool ship out there. It moves around, but you can't land on it. Go ahead, try it. So I'm going to start. There's a firehouse over here, which I thought was really cool. Really nice firehouse. Wombat, greetings. Greetings, sir. Nice to see you. Chopper Joel. This is Tuesday, Rotorson Pilot Day. Perhaps it'll change the name soon. I don't know. Moshpit Plays, how you doing? So I'm going to use this firehouse as kind of a guide. Where to start and stop. There we go. Nice. Nice. We got some people coming along, giving it a try. There's Marco. Marco, are you in the Hawaii? We're still doing a fundraiser for Maui. You see that on the stream window there. If you feel so inclined, please give them a couple of dollars. They need as much as they can get. There's a lot of devastation over there. And need to raise as much as we possibly can. So yeah, he is. He's still wearing the blue Hawaii sweatshirt. Or helicopter, as it were. Okay. Now, did I say hello, Mosh Pit Plays? What's up? Huh. Now I'm taking a break. Is this and that? Where's that go? Somebody did a flyby. I didn't see. Now we're going to do sideways flight. I'm not going to use the entire runway because that's huge. This gets a little more, you just need more of everything. So in a hover, you have to pretty much use every controller, obviously, and it changes every minute. And if you turn wind on, it changes even faster. I'll just mention again, oh, that's a warbird. I'll just mention again, I changed my throttle setup. So my throttle is reversed because that's closer to a helicopter. So it's making me have to think more. So just to hover, I have to constantly correct. I'm constantly correcting. And I'm already off of where I wanted to be. The reason my pedal movement looks a little spastic is because my legs get spastic sometimes. There we go. So that's pretty good. I did say hello. Good. No problem. So here we go. So sideways flight. You just move sideways. Now that is about what you would want to do for sideways, unless you're doing a stunt show. Ah, there we. Oh, it's the 109 that's flying by. Unless you're doing a stunt show. That is. Whoops. More power. More power. Keep it up. There we go. So if you're, wanting to do stunts, it will fly pretty good sideways. It'll go pretty far. But I'm trying to stay kind of over the line. Oh, I forgot to tape this. And then you just little bit. So that is a little bit more violent than you would do in the beginning. But now that I'm going this way, I barely need any pedal. As I go the other way, I barely need any right pedal. I'm getting way too high. Little left pedal. Go down the runway the other way. There we are. Sideways flight. This is why we have helicopters. And then to stop, you just, perch. You just stop. Wow, it needs a lot of power to stay in the hover after that. Try and get it back where it was. I don't know why I'm trying to, it's too late to record it, so there we go. Isn't that fire station great? This is another one of the bespoke airports of the flight sim. So this is free, update 13. Oh man, I gotta try and do better than that. Easy does it. It's really throwing me to reverse my throttle, so if you've been flying for a long time and you want to freshen up your skills, just go ahead and reverse your throttle. Unless you have a collective, then of course that would be silly. Wish you could fly now. Need to work on these heli basics so badly. Planet Natural, hello. Obviously I do too. Because I don't practice them all the time. This is another, it's good for me. It's good for me as well. So, yeah. I do put these up on the YouTube, and you can see the VOD. Actually, I'm making the highlights. So I don't know how long. I bet Planet Natural knows. How long do highlight reels stay in there? Are they just there indefinitely until I stop being a Twitch personality? I think they last a lot longer. I know the clips do. Okay, now we'll try backwards flight, and we'll record this time. Well, because this is bound to be a joke. I rarely practice backwards flight. Nice, nice. Somebody's got it. Oh, a Flights with Joel livery. A bit late again, but lurking to learn. Nice. You don't know, honestly. Okay, good. We're in the same boat. I like all these 145. So the 145 is actually a very good helicopter to learn in, strangely enough, because hello, welcome in. Because it has the assist. So The 145 has the helicopter version of an autopilot, which is basically an assist for everything you do. So it's kind of good to learn in if you would like. But last week we did talk about all the ways to make it easier for yourself to start out. And really just turning the pedals off is the main thing. Next week I'll probably try... I shouldn't promise anything. I'm thinking of trying a much more difficult helicopter. It's funny, a lot of the turbine helicopters are easier than this for some reasons, and a lot are harder. Next week we'll get into the auto rotations and such. Auto rotations, stunts, fun flying. We're almost done for this week. Backwards flight. Let's pick this up again. I'll have to fast forward on my recording. I want to go this way. I don't know why. Turn this way. So I'm going to try and... Oh, nice. I'm going to try and keep it on that line and fly backwards. Now, actually, you don't do a lot of backwards flight in a helicopter, even though it can fly backwards. You mostly do this, again, for shows, stunt shows, and just to back out of a parking space. That's really all I've seen them do. You're just backing out of a parking space. Maybe you're getting out of the way of another news copter when there's like 50 news copters going around. And it gets really weird when you back up. I immediately remember that. It gets really weird. So that's about all you need. Speed-wise, that's about all you need for the backing. Just about like that is about all you need. Alpine 92 and the ME 109. Nice. So a couple of people were talking about the 108. I did check that out. I'm not ready to... Oh, there's Smitty in the Bell 47, which is probably one of the two most realistic helicopters, especially if you're someone like Smitty who is in VR and has a full motion platform. VRDs are stored 60 days for Twitch partners, Prime and Twitch Turbo users, 14 days for affiliates, and 7 days for anybody else. Oh, VODs. Yeah, I'm wondering about the highlights. VODs are only... What? Prime and Twitch users. I thought mine were up there for 60 days. Highlights never expire. Thank you so much, Moshpit Plays. Appreciate that. So the Bell 47 from Fly Inside and the 206 from Fly Inside have the most realistic controls. And the most. So I will probably fly one of those next week so I can show you more about how a helicopter works, because you can't... Everything... One thing is missing in all the other helicopters. Not the same thing, but like one thing is missing. So you never know what that one thing is going to be. So now there are two more things we're going to talk about today. We talked about the hover, so we're going to go hover by a rock, and we're going... What was that noise? What the heck was that? That was... Did anyone... Was that me? Cohen 206 is really good. Like I say, there's just one thing missing. I mean, for example, and I don't think this is Cohen's fault, but in all the Asobo helicopters, you cannot see when it's off. You can't see the cyclic animation. And right now, there's no cyclic animation in this helicopter at all. And this is... It's moving the helicopter, but it's not moving. So that's the kind of thing I talk about. And you can't split the needles in any of the Cohen sims. I love them. They actually do a very good auto rotation, but the needles don't split, which makes it very hard technically to practice certain things. Like auto rotations and starts and stops. That's about it. That's about the only thing that makes it hard. Okay, so let's cruise over this rock, because that's a POI in here for some reason. I love all the Cohen Sim stuff. I was just flying the 222 Wednesday. Anyway, wonderful helicopter. I'm probably going to fly that today for our second flight. It's probably going to be my go-to. And who's flying that? Anyway, it's awesome. You think that's a sim restriction with throttle? The throttle is a sim restriction. It is, absolutely. Absolutely. The sim needs to come further in order for every developer to be able to make helicopters like Fly Inside's doing, because Fly Inside is doing their stuff with another program or something like that. But for the Asobo stuff to work, Asobo does have to fix like 3 things. I don't know why they made it work. on the gas helicopters and not the turbine helicopters. We're all confused. I really should have the link to the Please Fix This forum in Asobo. I'll say they know about it. I thought they were going to fix it with their last update. They haven't. It's not even mentioned in the latest update. Very disappointing for myself and all of us. Very disappointing. Yeah. So anyway, enough about that. Let's go hover by a rock. So this gives us forward flight and stopping and hovering. There we go. First we get a nice hover going if we're doing this properly. And then we just lean forward. And we should get into forward flight without hardly moving the collective at all. I'm using the trim because I do have my spring attached. Oh, I'm hearing the Bell 222. That's the jet sound you're hearing. Okay, now we're in forward flight. We've just gone through transition. And we're gonna go up here. Oh, we can land on this rock, but it's not quite right. Beautiful airport. I was gonna cruise around and check out the airport. Maybe I'll do that before we take off for the little cruise across to the next island. Because we're almost done. We're really done, almost done with the helicopter lesson. I'm gonna have to edit this one a little bit. So this is a famous rock. Oh, I don't know. Yes, some jet sound just turned off. Oh, it's not on my map. This famous rock is not on my map. There it is. Soken's Rock. Soken's Rock. I'm not sure why it's a POI, but I do have to do the opposite. There we go. So we're almost in a hover again. Now we're in a hover. And this is one of the best things, kind of hover practices to do, is move around an object while you're hovering. This gives you a really good idea of your controls. Right now I'm doing a lot of pedal. Well, it's a god-darn rock. It is. It's a rock with moss on it. I'm sure there's a story behind it. Everything they put in here, there's a bigger story. I might have neglected to put it up to listen. So there you go. Marco's got it. You can land it. You just kind of sink a bit. You kind of sink a bit. So next week we're also going to do, as well as stunts, we're going to do landing to a spot, which I should have done today. What is the rock's name? It's, oh wait, let me get on it. Let me rock it. Let me get over here and land. I'll get to that name again. Show you right where we are, because I do have some info. And the rest of this first flight, we're going to just be talking about what I'm doing, just practicing what we learned in our first 2 lessons. We're going to be practicing cruise flight a lot, which is no big deal. Oops. Because I reversed my throttle, I'm totally thrown off. Down is forward. Down is forward. There it is, 120 foot per minute. That's what happens, is you're landed, but it's kind of weird. It's a bit strange. So this is, what did I say? Wait a minute. Oh, I didn't even put it on my flight plan. There's a shipwreck that is. It's Soken's, S-O-K-E-H-S Rock.